All right. Thank you everyone for joining today. Happy International Women's Day. This is, I think, our fourth event. Time flies. Uh, we have a great panel of speakers today, centered around women in Africa. And I think at this point, I'll just turn it over to Tamara.
Okay, well, everyone, welcome to the 2024 International Women's Day. Thrilled to be celebrating, thrilled for this particular topic. We have some extraordinary women here whose stories we're going to hear. And so let's jump right in. I wanna just introduce very quickly our panelists. Just the point of this panel. As we know, women are underrepresented in our industry basically everywhere. But what we're doing today is we're highlighting women in Africa. And we have young women from Nigeria and, yep, totally forgot. I had it and then I lost it.
Zimbabwe.
Say it again. Zimbabwe. Okay. I should know that. Anyway, I would like to give them each an opportunity to introduce themselves. So what I'm going to do is go one at a time. I'm going to start with Ms. Ruth Okol, if I may.
Hello everyone. Good evening from Lagos, Nigeria. It's so great to be here. I'm highly honored to be among this amazing panel today, and I look forward to a good time. I'm the strategic communicator for Space Bus Aerospace. We are a global aerospace research innovations brand. We focus on optimizing strategies for aviation and space businesses. Our major focus currently is to educate on the importance of utilizing space technology for economic benefits in diverse industries. So I'm also the national point of contact for SGAC Nigeria and the event manager for the forthcoming Africa Space Generation Workshop that will be held in November. So I'm using this opportunity to welcome you all to Abuja. Come have fun and invite people, young professionals, space enthusiasts, and students that are within the ages of 18 to 35. And yeah, I'm also, excuse me, I'm majorly the National Director of STEM for SSPI Nigeria. It's so great to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ruth. And now may I invite Chiedza Banda into the space to introduce herself?
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so my name is Chiedza Banda, and I'm really, really happy to be part of the panelists. You know, it's been 1 year watching others, talk. I'm the current SGAC National Point of Contact for Zimbabwe. And like Ruth, I was the Deputy Event Manager for the 7th Africa Space Generation Workshop last year. I'm an aspiring space lawyer and policymaker, hopefully, and I'm also a mentee under the SSPI-WISE mentorship program. Last year, I was a mentee under the United Nations Space for Women initiative. So that's me in a nutshell. I hope to really learn from the other panelists today. So I'm really excited that people took time off to join us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Chiedza. All right, and I'm going to, well, let's see. Mwangeni, are you able to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you very much, Tamara. Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm so happy to be part of this panel. So my name is Mongen Tamaramanda. I'm undergrad student at Chinoi University of Technology. I'm a final year. And organizing team for the 7th African Space Generation workshop, which was held last year in Zimbabwe. And I'm also part of the NASA Space Apps Collective cohort. And I'm also I've been recognized as one of the 50 Geospatial World Rising Stars in 2024, and I'm working with several organizations volunteering in the environmental sector, solving the environmental issues by the use of geospatial technology. So I'm looking forward to a success panel discussion tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mwangeni. So for everyone's benefit, Mwangeni is unable to put on her camera today, so we'll just hear her voice. But with that, I'd just love to just jump right in. And I have a first question. This is for Ruth. So Ruth, this question is a two-parter. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey into the space sector and some of the successes and challenges you've encountered along the way as an entrepreneur? And specifically, what experiences have altered or changed you as a woman in STEM and as a leader? Okay, you're on mute. There you go.
Right. Thank you so much for this beautiful question. If I would want to tell a story, I could go on and on for hours, but I tried to make like a short note, so like some bullet points. So I'm just going to be focusing on that just so that we're right on track. I'll talk about my educational background. What inspired me to pursue a career in aerospace? My dad inspired me. I'm not gonna lie. My dad absolutely inspired me. My dad is an engineer. My mom was a medical doctor, and every other person in the family, like, they just went towards the medical line, and my dad was really hoping that I'll be that ray of hope you get. And I'm grateful that I was up to the task and I was interested, basically. Besides the fact that I'm a creative person, I love to create things. I was in the fashion and entertainment industry a few years back, and yeah, all of that. But one thing that stood out to me was the fact that I knew that something was missing, and coming back to the space industry just helped me, because I trained as an aerospace engineer. He pushed me to do that. I happened to do an internship, a one-year internship at the National Space Research and Development Agency, Obasanjo Space Center, 2015. I did that for a little over a year, and there was a whole lot that was going on, politically, and it was beyond my control. So I got back to Lagos, because I was in Abuja at that time. I got back to Lagos, and what works here in Lagos? The entertainment industry, the fashion industry. So I sort of struggled with, trying to do my part and sticking to the space industry, but there was no way. I was verbally told, like I was vocally, like someone told me to my face, I think I heard somehow that you're in the fashion industry. You should go there. I'm not going to mention him, but he's the director, and that really hurt me. That hurt me a lot. I thought about it, and it broke me down for about a year. But I'm like, wow, what if he's right? So I went into the fashion industry. It was fun, and then entertainment. It was beautiful. Now, this was what brought me back to the industry. While I was in the entertainment industry, fortunately for me and my family, we got involved with one of the prominent billionaires in the country, and basically my brother was working, just with the family, and somehow, some way, I was asked to bring my CV, because I was still searching for a job or something like that on the side while I was doing my fashion and entertainment. So I sent him my CV, and then the feedback that came was, sorry, they don't know where to put you. Just how much do you want? I've never heard anyone tell me. Like I had like I got a vocal blank check, and I'm like, no, I don't want money. Like, how much do you want for what? I lost my mind. There's a whole story. There was a whole lot to it, and it took a couple of years. God was just trying to bring me back to this industry. I hosted a panel yesterday, and one of our wonderful guest speakers was like, her coming into the space industry was a divine instruction or something. I felt that because there was no way in hell that I would have to, leave all of that and then come. It's been beautiful. The challenges I faced, public speaking. Public speaking was one. I'm dealing with ADHD. I'm dyslexic. It was just having to learn that I could do this was beautiful because my first public speaking experience was a rocket science presentation on the processes and procedures of launching a satellite with the rockets and stuff. And for someone that claims to be called Space Boss, my dad pushed me so hard. I started calling myself Space Boss. I'm like, who does that? So it came as, that wave, and I was I was tempted to do a whole lot of crazy things, like because I couldn't stand. I'm like, oh my God, so everyone is gonna know that, like, I can't public speak. I used to be a rapper anyways, way back. I've been a whole lot of things in my life, trust me. But this was different because I'm like, I'm not scared of the crowd. Like, what's this? It was crazy, but I'm thankful to God that I enjoy it right now. And it just helps me learn a whole lot more, leading to increased industry knowledge. Yeah, that helped me because I did a whole lot of research. I realized that I knew nothing. As someone that called herself Space Boss, I knew nothing, absolutely nothing, I'm not going to lie, about the space industry or anything that happened in it. So that helped me. I'm like, oh no, I can't fold my hand like that. Fold my hand is a slang we use in Nigeria for, not being up to par. So I'm like, no, I have to, show up as my authentic self because I always, whatever I lay my heart to do, I do it. Like, so I just felt, yeah, I could do this. And I learned how to pronounce my words properly or almost. Anyways, so I learned how to communicate strategically. That influences a whole lot of what I do right now as a strategic communicator. So I also was blessed to get my first role as the CTO of CGComs Limited, a tech company that was on a project to build and develop educational satellites. So I hopped on that for last year. That was what I did with most of last year, and it was a beautiful experience. I'm happy that I was able to offer value, and yeah, that was that. Challenges transitioning from passion to business. Yeah, that was the eye opener for me, and this is where I'm super grateful to SSPI-WISE mentorship program. It came in at the right time. Shout out to Sophie Gerber. She's my hero for life. She told me what I needed to know. That opened my eyes, like, yo, this is not because this whole thing has been, this whole Space Boss is just a story of the fantasies I used to have, on the side, just those things you think about and you can't say them out, or you can't really talk to anyone about it because they'll think you're crazy. Like, why are you not a bad bitch? In Nigeria, especially in Lagos, like, if you have some certain characteristics, they expect that you do certain things. But now I have love for something else, and I just couldn't find a peace until that happened. So Sophie was amazing. Sophie, God bless you so much. I wish for the best possible outcomes in your favor always. And excuse me.
Yeah.
I'm just really grateful, and that was an amazing blessing for me. Moving on, mid last year, I had, right after I met Sophie, I had a burnout, and that led to an imposter syndrome. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful experience because therapy taught me to own it, because there was no way else. There was there was just no way out of it. And overall, I learned the importance of, my network mindset, network mindset. Yeah, like having to connect with beautiful people and relevant people, the right people in this industry. I can't stress it enough. The right people, and learning to ask for help, learning adaptability, and overall the importance of perseverance and resilience. So yeah, that has been my journey in a nutshell. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Okay, Ruth, you had so much in that story, and it's an amazing journey that you've been on. I absolutely am going to come back to some of the things that you've said, but I want to open up the floor for Chiedza to tell us a little bit about her journey, especially as we think about the importance of diversity and inclusion in the African space sector and how it benefits innovation and progress, and just what has been your journey into this industry.
Okay, so thank you so much for the question. When it comes to my journey has been one of discovery upon discovery. So just a brief background of how Zimbabwe works. In Zimbabwe, when you're 16, you are put into these blocks, so the arts, the commercials, and the sciences. And once you're in a certain box of career choice, it's really hard to shift from there. So I was in the arts. I still love history. I still love geo, but maths will kill me every time. So I'd really thought about, wow, I like stars, I like astronomy, but I'm not in the right box. So I actually forgot about space. I was like, I can take this as a hobby. When I was in high school, the last 2 years of high school, I would call my friends, okay, guys, you see that star over there? That's Venus. And people were like, cheers, you're wasting our time. But I really do think my friends were just bearing with me, So I think it was in 2021 or 20 years. It was in 2021 when a friend of mine, it's actually a man called Tinetariro, was like, there's this group about space. I'm like, there's a group, let's just join. Through asking questions, I was promoted to the student president for said Zimbabwe. After that, I joined SGAC. Through being pushed by the likes of Tafadzo Abanga and Henry Piri. They were like, apply, apply, apply. I'm like, okay, fine. I was the national point of contact. So it's been a constant push of, I don't know much, but I would say I'm surrounded by individuals who are really pushing me forward. So when it comes to diversity and inclusion, I would say for me, it has been a matter of don't push men out of the picture, because when I look at my journey, it's the allies who have been pushing me forward. Me and the girls were in the same group of, oh, this is so new. But with the guys, it was, I've got a 10-year plan, I've got a 5-year plan, you should do this, this, that. And then they're like, Chids, did you have plan? I'm like, not yet. Hurry up, hurry up. We need to put more women out there. And they were the ones who were pushing the inclusion. So I would say, in order to drive inclusion in Africa, we have to normalize women in these spaces. It's not a women's journey. It's more of a who's qualified enough. So I would say the journey for me has been just been me speaking out, me asking questions, me being inquisitive and asking myself, why not? It hasn't been easy. I wanted to become the project lead for the Space Policy Project Group. They asked me first question, so why did you apply? And I said, why not? Why not apply? And they were really up for it. But I'd say in a nutshell, my journey has been a speed trek into the industry. I'm still learning a lot. And I would say my advice to men and women is that push each other forward. Gender shouldn't be the contributing factor of art. It's a man, he should do this. Actually, it's, if you find, be it a man or woman who are inspired, who have the passion, push them forward. Don't limit, don't put people in boxes, because at the end of the day, I now want to be a space lawyer. And all this time I thought there was no such thing. So play with the boys, girls, play with the boys, and then connect with women who would then ground you and teach you how to present and ground yourself within the industry. So that's me in a nutshell.
Thank you so much, Chieta. Yeah, okay, I got the message. Play with the boys. I love that. Mwangeni, I want to invite you into the space and talk a little bit about your journey. And I particularly would love to hear from you a little bit about the role of storytelling and role models to encourage young women into the STEM fields. And let's see if I can find her. Ish. Okay, we can
Thank
barely,
you
there you
very
are.
much, Samara. Oh, yeah. Mm.
Oh boy, Mwangeni, I'm sorry, I can't hear you. You're breaking up a
Are you
lot.
hearing me?
Hello, talk again.
Yeah, are you hearing me now?
Yes, now we are. Yes.
Hello. Are you hearing me now?
Yes, we are. Can you hear us?
Hello.
Hello, can you hear us?
So, yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Okay,
Okay.
right there, you're good.
So let me first say, okay. What I can say firstly is that my journey in the Swiss industry maybe was first molded by, I can say, role models and the mentors, because in a remote community, see, everyone wasn't motivated to go forward, and wasn't anyone to admire you of your goals. And you would see that because of the mining activities that was happening in my community, everyone was married to a gold buyer, get married and become rich, and no one ever wished to be a CEO and one day. So what I can say, fortunately, I was so blessed with the parents that God gave me, because my parents really supported me, and they would always say that you can do this. Whenever they saw someone who was prospering, they said, "That's my daughter over there. That's my daughter." So the support that they gave me really inspired me to say, no, I need to work hard. I need to make them proud, so that tomorrow they'll be proud and say, that's my daughter over there. So learning from, I can say, mentors, because when I reached my when I finished high school, I was always surrounded by the teachers that would say, you need to move. And I also learned from theirs. And I in my department right now shares your story that she grew up in a very poor background, managed to learn, and now she's
Oh dear. Okay, Mwangeni, I'm sorry, we cannot hear you.
in the industry, and she's now working with a lot of NGOs, a lot of she has a lot of business right now. So I believe hello.
Yeah, hi, Mwangeni, we're not getting too much of what you're saying. I'm very sorry. I'm very disappointed that I'm hearing only some of what you're saying.
Are you hearing me now?
No. no, hardly at all, actually. I'm going to move forward.
Hello.
Mangeni, if you can do us a humongous favor, I'd love if you put some of your story in the chats because we really can't hear you. So, but we do want to know your story. So if you can drop it in the chats, I think that would be really amazing so that the folks here can see a little bit more about you. And what I'll do is I'll go ahead forward while you're doing that. And I want to welcome Divya into the space. You know, both Divya and Wangeni are suffering through power outages in their locations. And so we're kind of flying by the seat of our pants here. But while Divya gets herself situated to jump in on the interview, I want to come back to Ruth just very quickly. Because Ruth, you said something that was interesting, which was that you had a degree in engineering, but you were told to go into fashion. What was that experience like for you? I mean, I mean, I'm so impressed that you managed to overcome that and find your way back into the industry. And I'm hoping that you're growing into an opportunity or finding opportunities to actually use your degree. But talk a little bit about what that was like for you to have that experience.
Right. So the program basically that got me into the Space Center was the National Youth Service Corps that you would usually have if you, after you graduate and you come back to the country, you have to sort of like serve the country for like a year. It's a paramilitary exercise, something. So first of all, I was sent to a primary school to teach. I couldn't teach nothing. I couldn't teach nobody. So I just knew it wasn't going to work. So my dad made a phone call. At that time, we were privileged. My uncle was the airline operators of Nigeria at the time. So he just sort of made a phone call, and he was like, okay, tomorrow morning you're going to go to the Space Center. I'm like, what? Space? I'd never heard someone say space to my face before then, or I've never heard anyone say space to me before. I'm like, space? I'm like, what's that about? So I went there and it was exciting. I was surprised we had space. Nigeria had anything to do with space. And then you know, like they actually had stuff going on. Like there's been a whole lot of research. We had satellites. I'm like, what? Okay, I really want to be in this industry. So that happened and I was very excited. I was a design engineer at the ESS lab. Can't remember the details, but we were sort of on a project to build or design some cryogenic propulsion system or something. So we're on that research and I enjoyed designing. I loved computer graphics and basically just playing around the softwares. For me, it was like, you know, designing a clothes or designing whatever. So that part tickled my fancy and I was very valuable in that regard. My director came into the lab one day and he was like, you, the Russian girl, because I had a director in the environment that used to, he sort of found out that I studied in Ukraine and he asked if I spoke Russian and I was like, yes. So I could try, I could buy stuff, I could, you know, just relate. And he was like, from today, don't speak nothing to me except Russian. I'm like, how am I speaking Russian in Nigeria? So I didn't have a choice. I would avoid him if I had to, but that happened. So I was popular as the Russian girl because of that. Everyone would call me, hey, that Russian girl, that Russian girl. So he came in and he was like, hey, you Russian girl, I heard that you're in the fashion industry. So what are you doing here? I thought it was a joke. And I was like, I'm here. And he asked me to write he asked me to do a research and bring him a report on something about along the lines of, you know, cryogenic engines and propulsion and stuff. So I did. It was kind of weird. That was after school. That was like my first time, but I sort of enjoyed the process. It was handwritten. I hand wrote it and he was like, no, I heard him clearly when he said handwrites, like, so I wrote it. And because normally why would I want to write? My handwriting is not for, it's not to be seen in public. So I went back to him and I submitted it. He was like, I didn't ask you to write. I'm like, sir, you said, because I asked you again. And then he was like, okay, type it. I did, submitted to him. He came back and he was like, you wrote well. I'm kind of surprised you wrote well. I was still laughing because for me, it's a joke until it's not a joke. Like, man, what do you mean? So I laughed, and then that was just it. I took the compliments anyways. And then it was time for me to, my service year was over. So I went to the office one day to see him. After waiting for hours, he allowed me to see him, and he was on his way out, allowing me to see him. And I was like, so I actually came to, discuss with you if there's a possibility of me. And he was like, I heard you're in the fashion industry. Why don't you I think that's easier. Why don't you just go? And I died inside because I didn't, at that point, I didn't see myself coming back to Lagos because I'd come to love, like the whole idea of being at the Space Center. And I'm like, whoa, so I'm going to have to go back. My family would finally see that I didn't make it. And it was just tough. The next year was tough that was the year that was tough until I decided to just, go back to the fashion industry. And I wouldn't say I wouldn't say if I've forgiven him. I've probably forgiven him, but I remember. So I mean, that was what it was for me.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I think a lot of women can identify with that experience of being told to go in a different direction than the direction of their dreams. And so thank you so much for sharing that. I want to call Divya into this space. Divya is also a woman from Africa. She's from Botswana. And she is our official moderator who has shown up having gotten her power restored. And so Divya, over to you.
Hello, everyone, and happy International Women's Day to everyone here, and to everyone who will be watching this after as well. I think the stories I've been hearing so far, they have really inspired me, and I think they've kind of put a little bit more gusto into this panel for sure. I mean, I hope everyone kind of gives a big warm of virtual applause to everybody. Thank you, Ruth. Thank you, Chitza. Thank you, Myongeni, for sharing your stories so far. I kind of want to just pick off from where Tamara left off after she definitely saved me, which just goes to show how much we have each other's backs. But I was just reading up about how Chitza and Ruth's perspectives and experiences have definitely informed them, as with Chitza being a lawyer and Ruth being an entrepreneur, and also her experience now of "I told you so," which I think will be a very, very Ruth. I kind of want to know, like, do you wonder where that naysayer is? Like, what must they be thinking now?
I'm hoping to run into him. I'll give him a piece of my mind.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I think and it's a testament to your career in terms of how much you've accomplished so far with Space Boss and everything, and thank you so much. And I think this goes to show, right? Like there's so much change needed on such a deeper level. So I kind of want to open this question to both Chitza and Ruth. With Chitza's background as a lawyer and Ruth being an entrepreneur, I kind of want to ask you guys, what policies or practices do you think need to kind of be implemented or changed to kind of address the underrepresentation of Black women in leadership roles within the space sector in the African regions? I mean, it's a very big question, but I think it's definitely something that maybe for the rest of us who want to understand the ecosystem a lot better, would love to know more.
Okay, I think I will tackle this first, and then I think Ruth can then take over. Okay, so in terms of policy, I would say in terms of the position and government, because there are policies in place in every country for, the like promoting women into top posts and management. In Zimbabwe, we are lucky. Our national geospatial agency has women, a lot of women actually employed there. But I think we would really want policies that encourage more women in the business side of things, not just, oh, you're going to be employed by the national agency and then what? So I think for me, it's, though we have got a space agency that has female representation, I think what we need is to then have more policies and maybe incubation for women to have their own startups, because there's a huge disparity between startups that are started by men and then the women, I think, are just employed there, except Ruth, So I really would say if we can have incubation centers for women to then learn to grow their confidence, I think the African sector can then change. But then for women, it's from what I have seen, it's mainly you have to get the girls young. You have to instill the confidence in the industry when they are still making those life decisions. Like I said, Zimbabwe, you are boxed. So at least if you are 16 and you know that, okay, fine, I'm good with money, with numbers, I can still do my commercials. I can still become an actuary. But at the end of the day, at the back of your mind, you're saying, I want to check out the atmosphere. I still want to be part of the space industry. How then can I connect with people within the industry? So I would say policy-wise, in terms of women inclusion, I think it's okay. But then the participation in commerce and in the business side, that needs more incubation, that needs more interaction with the students whilst they are still young, but also that needs women who are part of SSPI-WISE to catch them young and bring them forth within the industry from an earlier stage. That way they can plan.
Right. So I'll jump right in. I believe it's a global responsibility. We don't always have to celebrate International Women's Day or Women's History Month in March. We don't have to celebrate Black History Month in February. I feel if we have the mindset of continuous awareness and continuous celebration, it would help. And also, I would like for increased financial support for educational trainings, scholarships, skills, and leadership development for women, especially African women. That would be nice.
Thank you, ladies. I think, I 100% can see what the status quo is in terms of what is needed, access, and also all across the board. And given this year's theme, inspiring inclusion, it's definitely something that should happen 365, or in this year's case, 366 days a year and beyond. And given that theme, and given the issue of access, be it I think in incubators, or access to investment opportunities, or even just like the overall entry barrier to the space industry. It's really encouraging to speak on inclusion of the self, inclusion of the individual, but also inclusion of the ecosystem itself. And I also kind of maybe wanted to dive into the inclusion of the African space ecosystem in the larger global space economy as well. Ruth, with your work at Space Boss, I wanted to understand, what are the key scopes for international collaboration? Because, like you said, I think I kind of hooked onto your point of across the board, globally, how much things need to change. But what are the scopes for international collaboration that you foresee in the coming years between, for example, let's say India and African space companies or agencies as well?
Okay, so hopefully I expect to see the implementation of the SBAS, the space-based augmentation system, in the aviation sector, not just in the aviation sector, but specifically in the aviation sector, for the single African transport market, SATEM, because there's a whole lot of benefits, financial, economic benefits, and also environmental benefits as well for Africa, and also for reduced flight time and airspace management. That will be very beneficial. I also expect to see more affordable alternate satellite internet and IoT connectivity in Africa. And lastly, I expect to see satellite to cell network collaborations in the future. Yeah, thank you.
Right. No, that gives a great kind of once again a little bit more of an aerial view on where we're at in the ecosystem, and I'm sure like members in the audience would also be not just wanting to celebrate International Women's Day, but also understanding how they can take business across, which I think at the end of the day, that's how you really also help enable inclusion. I mean, I hope to see some great kind of activity and conversations after this panel where, I mean, even off this panel where we take forward a lot of mindfulness in terms of how to be better allies as well across the board. I want to kind of bring up like a very crucial dialogue here. Chiza spoke about, you know, she spoke a lot about how incubators can enable startups, while Ruth also spoke about looking at it from a collaboration and business perspective. But I saw in the chat here that SSPI-WISE's very own Andrea Maliter just, she picked up on Chiza's earlier point about the school system kind of putting people on certain tracks, which I think maybe many women of color have experienced. I certainly have, but I'm not gonna. I would want to open the board up to Ruth, Chiza, and Yongeni. What kind of changes or development would all three of you like to see from an academic institute level? Sorry if this was brought up earlier, but I would love to reiterate this point from an educational point of view. Are there any specific challenges, or how important is also mentorship in fostering participation of women and girls in STEM? And what role can also be established what role can be established in the mentorship space? So we have our academic and we have our mentorship. I would really like to understand your guys' point of view in terms of how, from an academic level, what can change and how can we move ahead?
Thank you very much. Divya, are you hearing me?
Yes.
Okay, so I think the academic institutes should review and align their curriculums with industry needs, because I realized that in Africa we producing a lot of graduates that lack the skills and that lacks the industry needs. So firstly, the universities should review and align their curriculum with the industry needs, so that people, they do learn according to what the industry requires. And also, I think in terms of employment, firstly, they should employ people who are already experts in the industry, because I believe that if you learn from someone who has the experience, it's better off than someone who hasn't experienced it. So universities should just employ those people that are already in the industry, and those people are going to teach the students how it is done. And I also think that to improve maybe peace programs, we should also facilitate and introduce maybe the space centers postgraduate programs, not only teach students maybe STEM related, or for example, I'm in the geospatial field, but if I don't know how to run and develop a business, obviously if I graduate, I'm going to wait for me to be employed. I'm not going to think to run a business or to start a company. So universities should also add those courses in their curriculum so that people, they know if I graduate in a geospatial field, I'm also able to run a business. I'm also able to start a company, to start and expand in that field. So yeah, that's what.
Okay, I think I will take over from where Tamara left. I would say for me, there are two sides of the story. There's firstly the educational side of, okay, fine, the students are put in these boxes where they are not sure on what to do and what to learn. But you find that within that ecosystem, like I said, for the later part of my high school, I mostly went to a boys' school. So it was 3:1, so 3 boys to 1 girl. And what I discovered was that the boys have freedom. They could select anything. They spent the first year of the lower six just choosing anything. People had 5 subjects. They had geo, they had physics, they had English. It was just a mess. But the school system let them figure it out. Girls' schools, on the other hand, it's when you finish your O-levels, so you're about to start like your specializations, you are called into the headmistress office, and then the headmistress will tell you that, oh, because of your grades, you need to do this, this, and that. If that happened to me, I didn't go back to the school because I was like, you don't know me. This is my first time talking to you, and you just picked my future for me. I wasn't happy and I moved. But I would say the first step is seeing that we have women who have made it this fine in life. We have men who know about the industry and they know about STEM. I think we need to take a collective responsibility to go to girls' schools and inform both the teachers and the students about what the future can then offer them. On the other side of the whole educational spectrum, I would say, if we want to approach it from the whole STEM side of view, I would say we need people who are really, we need a lot of Ruths and Tamaras in this world to actually challenge these norms of, oh, space in Zimbabwe. So what do you want to do? You want to be Elon Musk in Zimbabwe? And you're like, yes, we can actually be Elon Musk. So I think on the side of women in the industry and men in the industry, I think we should start looking at how we can break down the space industry and the satellite industry into the day-to-day person. For most people, they really don't know. They think it's just rockets and stars and planets. But then once you break it down to, you cannot text without a satellite. You cannot talk to your friends without this technology. You cannot farm because of this technology. It then breaks down the whole mystic nature of the space industry. So I think we need to break it down, but I think we need strong individuals to educate people. Thank you.
Just jumping in, I'm sorry, I'm
Okay.
jumping in. I'm sorry to interrupt. We have a special guest who needed to be here and that was unable to arrive at the top of the hour, and I don't want to lose the opportunity to hear from her. So I'm just going to interrupt just right now and have Divya bring on our very special guest.
I am very excited to introduce Mrs. Nkechi Jane Egerton-Idehen. I really hope I pronounced this name right. But Jane or Nkechi is the managing director of NIGCOMSAT, and she has more than 17 years of experience in Nigerian, Liberian, and Ghanaian telecommunications markets, which I'm very excited to definitely introduce, and I'm very excited to have the privilege of introducing Nkechi. So is she on Spotlight here?
I'm here, Tamara. Okay, do you want to do the introduction? I'm here. It's good to be here. We were celebrating in the office. That's why I was late. We were celebrating the women in the office, but it's good to be here. Thank you so much. And I've been listening actually since I've been here because I've been around for about maybe some 20 minutes. So I've been listening to the panel. And it's great just listening to all of you. If it's fine, I could share some words. Is that fine, dear?
Yes,
Please do. We would love to know more about your take on inspiring inclusion.
Yes, I will start with what Sanjay posted because I thought that's really a key element. I'm a proponent for that, which is to also have men in such discussions. It's always good to have male sponsors, if you put it that way, especially in fields like ours that are male dominated, because who is the best person to champion some of these things we are discussing as males in organizations? So Sanjay, 100% on point. But today I really wanted to speak about my own understanding of what inclusion is. And inclusion for me is that people should find themselves in environments where they feel seen, their voices are heard, they feel like they belong, they're respected, there's psychological safety. And we see that in those types of environment, people tend to overperform. Once you are feeling that way in an environment, you feel safe enough to take risks, to try new things, to go overboard, to challenge yourself. And I think that's what's a big theme. But what's more important as well is that if we push for inclusion, we also push to invest in women, because really what this is all about is making sure women in fields like ours are seen, are included. But I also want to use the opportunity to say that women should do the same. So some of the ideas, it all starts with us because I believe in being the change you seek, so if we're saying that we want to strive for inclusion, that means we should, when we find ourselves in rooms, we should pay more attention to the room. Who isn't represented, who is not feeling seen? Be the voice, call out things if you have to, or use your platform to make others feel included. It could just be in a little meeting in the office and you notice, maybe for obvious reasons, someone's gender, age, tribe, whatever, is not being seen. And you could find a way to, carry them along and make them feel seen or heard. So just some small practices which we can take up ourselves. And I think as we become the champions for this change, it's easier to call others to be champions to the change. But also things I would love to see is as a wider society, because I'm saying start with us, is also going to take just us to create the inclusion we want to see. We want to see organizations, government, society invest in women. And for me, it's just simple. I think it was Cindy, I can't remember her name, Cindy Lewis, that shared what I think it is to invest in women. Just simple. Promote women, fund women, listen to women, train women, coach women. And for me, that's just, like we've been saying these things for years. But where the difference lies is if we act about it, if policies are created that make it easier for women to be retained in their organizations, if policies are created that makes it easier for young girls to be protected online, maybe digital harassment online or cyberbullying, if policies are created that make it easier for women when they get to stages, if by choice they choose to be mothers or to get married, they're in organizations where it doesn't tend to become an issue for their careers. So that safety exists in those organizations. But also invest in women because we train them. Someone was talking about mentoring and coaching. So a little bit more intentional, especially in fields like ours, where the pipeline is even smaller. So we tend to see smaller numbers in terms of young girls or women that get into our fields. So we have to be more intentional, because our numbers are smaller, to create an awareness. I think someone was talking about it, about, how we even tell our stories, because space is seen to be something like a black hole and people can relate to it. But let's tell our stories. Let's spotlight cases, especially women in our industries. That's another way we can attract young girls to our sector or to our industries. People, because I am here today because of what I saw. I didn't do engineering or take this path because I just conceived an idea. I saw role models ahead of me and I told myself, oh, if she could do it, I think I want to do it as well. So role modeling, mentors are so important, but intentionality is really key because it doesn't happen on its own. Because some of us live in environments where maybe by nature of culture, women are so second in nature in terms of, in terms of opportunity, create awareness that we don't actually, for lack of a better word, like short sell them. A quick example was like when I wanted to study engineering, everybody around me thought I shouldn't do it because some thought it was too hard, or some thought it was a male-dominated field. So everybody had their own idea why I shouldn't, and nobody cared about my own idea if I wanted to do it for my obvious reasons. So you would have these types of situations, but it's awareness that will start to re-educate the populace or change that narrative out there, that people can do things irrespective of their gender, especially if it just requires their competence and their skill set. Then I think we should also fund more women business. I know we're in the salary industry, but we want to see more women also in the sector. More women doing things in our industry, running companies or running tech businesses, or being the creators or the startup founders for those businesses. And that will require funding. So not just from the public sector, but funding even from investors, being more intentional to have more women or female founders in our sectors. So it just means we have to probably give it a little bit more effort. I could say more, but I would like to end by saying on a final note, which I think we're all doing today, celebrate more women. Like, let's really make them visible. Let's tell these stories, because when we tell these stories, we're giving young girls the role models to look up to. We're telling them it can be done. Someone has done it. We're giving them inspiration to go for their dreams. So those are my few words of wisdom. Happy International Women's Day.
Yeah, happy International Women's Day, Jane. Thank you so much for those brilliant words. I brought Divya back on the screen. Divya.
I thank you so much, Jane, for really, it's such a tough topic to kind of encapsulate the way you have, but I think the first is sharing experience, and then I think you've brought up a very crucial point of allyship. How can we foster an environment where everything from individual change, at least not change on an individual level, to organizational culture it's a beautiful ripple effect that I hope to see in the coming years. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And I think the smiles on everyone's faces really says it all. I'd like to kind of open the panel up to the thought on allyship. No.
No.
Tamara, you don't want to say anymore. Tamara's like, no.
No. Well, we're at time. We're at 1 o'clock.
We're at time? Oh my goodness. See, this is the time zone. The time zone,
yeah,
barrier,
you're in that
clearly
weird
come
time
across.
zone thing. Yes. Listen, I just can't thank everybody enough. I want to bring everybody that I can bring on screen again, so that we can all give them an amazing round of applause. Oh, I didn't mean to replace spotlights. I was trying to add them. Let's try that one more time. Let's do this again. And let's add Divya. And hey, I'm going to add me because I had to pinch hit today. So how about that? Thank you, everyone. Happy International Women's Day. Listen, I am gonna, if you have the time to stay, I'm gonna switch the spotlight over to Jomia so that she can give us a really fast, in like 2 minutes or less, rundown of what we have upcoming for the rest of the month. And then we're gonna be out of here. So over to you, Jomia.
Oh yeah, forgot about the rest of the month for everything. But Satellite Show is coming up, so if you're coming over to DC in 2 weeks, is it 2 weeks? 1 week? Maybe it's only 1 week.
It's only 1 week.
There's a lot of activities going on. We have our SSPI-WISE networking hour. Check the website or LinkedIn for more information. And there's going to be a lot of us there, so reach out and we can get together and do a lot of stuff there. If you want to help out with anything, we have lots of all members meetings coming up, as well as Tamara has been working on the podcast for SSPI-WISE. If you're interested in helping out with that, definitely let one of us know. Go on the website, look at the opportunities, and lots of stuff from there. So once again, happy International Women's Day.
Oh, I think this is the symbol. Happy. Take care, everyone. Thank you. And thank you all for such a wonderful sharing of your stories.